Nuestra siguiente invitada a una conversación es realmente lo más parecido a Leonardo da Vinci que yo he conocido en la historia de la ciencia. Una persona que no está determinada por su disciplina, por su trabajo, por su género, por nada, y que conoce todas las nuevas posibilidades. Oh, se nos cayó algo, pero que ojalá todo siga funcionando. I'm sorry. Pero que conoce todas las posibilidades de la vida y las explora. Como les decía, es la persona que tiene un Guinness Record por el vuelo eléctrico en helicóptero. Es una persona que ha desarrollado medicamentos para enfermedades raras. Es una persona que desarrolla pulmones artificiales. Y es una persona que hoy día se ha apasionado con la pregunta humana sobre la inmortalidad, utilizando inteligencia artificial para desarrollar humanoides que permitan replicar nuestros gestos, almacenar nuestra conciencia y vivir eternamente. Las cosas formales: es presidenta y directora ejecutiva de United Therapeutics, una compañía biotecnológica que ha logrado desarrollar estos medicamentos para enfermedades raras, y también se ha desarrollado en el área del trasplante de órganos, desarrollando pulmones artificiales, como les comentaba. Es autora de libros, es creadora de su propia religión, es una impulsora del transhumanismo. Y con todo esto, I want to say, hi, Martine Rothblatt. We are so pleased to have you here in Future Congress. I'm thrilled to meet you because I was so anxious about this interview. As I said before, I feel like I'm talking with the Leonardo da Vinci of these times. I'm really proud to have this conversation with you because reading about you and learning about you, I thought, if I could find a word to define your work and your career, I would say that that word would be love. Because love has been the force that has led you from one idea to the next one, trying to remember the experience saving your own daughter or trying to keep very close to your wife. So what do you think about the importance of love in your career?
Thank you very much for having this chat with me and for your very kind introduction at the beginning. I'm very humbled to be welcomed so warmly into the Congreso Futuro. You also understand me so well. I do believe that love is the most powerful force in the universe. And when I think about what love means to me, I always remember this line from a book by Robert Heinlein. He was a science fiction writer during the 20th century. He wrote many good books. And his greatest book, I think, was called Time Enough for Love. And in this book, he defined love as the feeling that the happiness of the person or the people that you love, it's essential to your own happiness. And it's exactly how I feel.
I am so surprised about you and your existence. You're not a doctor, you didn't study medicine, but you changed your life like when people that change its shoes, and you decide to change the satellite world for the biomedical world. How did it happen?
So it was really no choice. It was something that was, I would say it came from my heart and also my soul. We have 4 children, and our youngest daughter developed a illness when she had no illness in her life and nobody else in our family. We never had to face a serious illness. But suddenly she was unable to even walk up the stairs to her bedroom upstairs, and her lips, they turned blue. She was always in pain and couldn't breathe. So finally we took her to the best doctor we could find in Washington, D.C. at the Children's National Medical Center. And the doctor told us that she has a very rare disease. It's called pulmonary hypertension. And it's a disease just between the heart and the lungs. The rest of the body is normal, but the blood vessel from the heart to the lung, it becomes very small for no reason. And because it's so small, it's not possible to get the blood to the lung to receive fresh oxygen. And this is why her lips turned blue and why she could not walk upstairs. So I said to the doctor, what's next? What will you do? What medicine will you give? And he told us that he was sorry. There was no medicines approved for this condition. There was no clinical trials being done. There's no operation except a lung transplant. And he was going to refer us to the transplant section, but to be aware that for a small girl, our daughter was only 6 years old, that to find lungs of that size, it was unlikely. So I went crazy. I mean, in my mind, everything went black and I couldn't think about what to do. So I went to the library in the hospital that had a library for doctors, and I tried to research something about this, but I couldn't understand even the words in the magazines and in the books because, like you said, I was no doctor. So I decided that, Martine, it's up to you to save Jenny's life. Her name is Jenny. It's up to you to save her life. You must learn all of these things, and you must find a way to save her. If it's not you, she will die. So I just worked day and night, 24 hours a day. I slept a little, but otherwise I didn't care about eating or sleeping. And I started to read the book of just for high school students about biology, and then for college students about anatomy, college students about chemistry. And over a few months, I was able to teach myself everything I needed to know to find a medicine to help our daughter. And then finally, I did find this medicine within another year it took. And now that medicine is approved by the FDA and all over the world. And there is now more than 50,000 people living with this condition, whereas before, when my daughter was diagnosed, it was only 2,000 people living because as soon as they were diagnosed, they died in a couple years. But now they can live 10, 20 years and longer. So it's been a wonderful blessing of my life to be able to learn this information to help so many people, especially my daughter.
It's an amazing story, especially thinking about that you not just saved your daughter, but also so many people right now. It's like 38,000 people that right now can live thanks to you and your obsession and your knowledge that you acquired there at the hospital. So congratulations for that, and thank you in words of humanity. You saved your daughter, as I said, but you wasn't ready yet. So you start to explore the lung transplant and how to develop lungs. Tell us about how was it? Did you learn from the beginning, just as you told us?
So when my daughter was diagnosed and we were referred to the lung transplant specialists at the hospital, they asked us if we wanted to meet some other young children who were waiting for a lung transplant as kind of a socialization process. So in fact, we met a couple of other families of young children, the same age as Jenny, who were waiting for a lung transplant. And I'm sorry to say, and it makes me sad even now, that I saw two of these other children pass away before they could get their lung transplant. And I felt very sad because they were very sweet children. One girl, she played piano so beautifully, even only like 10 years old. And of course, I was very afraid that this will also be the destiny of my own daughter. And waiting for a transplant, it's not a good life. Everybody who is waiting for one will tell you that. So I began to think, why is it that we are limited to only a few transplants? Why is it not possible for everybody to have a transplant who needs one? And I learned that the reason it was complicated, that these organs must come from people who die in just a certain way, that they don't have any other disease, that they're pretty young, they die in a hospital. There's so many conditions to have a donor organ. So it was at this time that Dolly the sheep was first cloned. It was in 2000. And it was also at this time that the human genome had just been decoded. That was also 2000. And there was a lot of positive excitement and energy about the 21st century, because now we could do a clone of an animal, we can decode the human genome. So when I put this information together with my daughter's situation, I thought, why don't we go ahead and clone the animal to make organs in unlimited quantity that could match the DNA of the patient and enable there to be an unlimited supply of transplantable organs for people who need kidneys, for people who need heart, for people who need liver, for people who need lungs, like my daughter.
So, excuse me, just a question. So you're not just producing artificial lungs, but you're trying to make it very, in a boutique way, very compatible with the patient.
Yes, it's a great question. And we do that by, we start off with what's called a biopsy. It's a little piece of flesh from the patient, like if you went to a doctor to remove some small thing from your skin, okay? And then from that little skin, we find cells, and we turn those cells back into stem cells. And after we turn them back into stem cells, then we are able to turn them again into the specific type of cell needed for each organ. After we do that, we grow those cells to the billions of numbers, and then we are able to 3D print them into a whole organ. You know, it's a miracle of life that in every cell in your body, you have a blueprint, you have a diagram how to make any other part of the body. And it's just up to us technologists and ethicists and everybody in the society that we have to encourage this activity for each body to cure itself.
It's amazing. And the name of your daughter is Genesis. It's a great name to someone who creates a whole world like your world. It's amazing. Well,
but she always wants me to remind people that it's spelled with a J. So it's usually they think it's Genesis, like in the Bible with a G, but it's with a J.
Yeah, but it matched with what happened with her, because she opens the world for you and for all of us. So thank to that coincidence also. Well, you, of course, you didn't stay quiet there, and you start to try to defeat death, and also to find a way to extend life, to keep your love forever with your wife, which is an amazing love story. So tell us about your project of preserve consciousness to live forever through artificial intelligence, please.
Sure, thank you. So of all the many things I feel grateful for in life, I think what I feel most grateful for is that I found the love of my life, and she says the same for me. But,
that's great, that's great.
But we both, we are really in love. And I could say that because I've been married for 40 years, and every morning, you know, we wake up, we feel the same way. If I'm taking a walk, I'm going to hold her hand, and, you know, we are soulmates, okay? So we began to read about this new technology of artificial intelligence, and we heard about the possibility to create a digital mind. And then we began to think, well, why should artificial intelligence be something just made up, something new? Why doesn't it instead be a copy of the existing wonderful minds on the planet Earth? We have billions of beautiful people, grandparents and great-grandparents. Why should we lose the knowledge and the wisdom, the caring and the love of these people just because we don't know how to fix their body? So we started a nonprofit foundation dedicated to preserving the minds of people who are living today, so that in the future years, when the artificial intelligence is more advanced, these minds, which we call mind files, a digital reflection of our own thoughts, can be activated with new software, which we call mindware. And then our ancestors, they can come back to life in a digital form and share with their descendant, their children, their grandchildren, their great-grandchildren, their cousins, their nephew and niece, all the thoughts and the wisdom that they learned in their life.
So it's like a present for the future generations. It's not about to extend your own life. It's to give someone from you to the next generation.
Exactly. It's a love between generations.
That's super intelligent. Now, you have experienced a very complete idea of love. That's so lucky. I mean, if you see the world, I don't know how many people can tell your story, which is one of the most particular feelings that define humans. So do you believe that through your project, you can keep in these minds forever the ability to love through artificial intelligence?
I don't know, because we'll have to see. It's an experiment that we are doing. But let me begin the answer by sharing with you the way I was able to find this love. And it was by being willing to make a change, go outside of a comfort zone. I was in a discotheque, a place of dancing, and I saw Bina, my partner's name. She was sitting across the room, and I felt a strong attraction to her. I don't know if the attraction was just a visual, or if the attraction was what they say, pheromone, like we
or
are
bacteria.
Constantly bacteria. I like the idea of the pheromone because the human evolution, it began, of course, with animals, and the smelling is the strongest part of the brain of the animals. And I think still we could find our lover just from a sense. In any event, I went over and I asked her to dance. The most human, simple thing, right? Will you dance with me? And she said yes. And as we began dancing, that's when we began falling in love. Now, if this is possible in a computer, I don't know, but I want to do the experiment because I think it's a good chance it is possible. I do know people have fallen in love virtually, especially in this time of COVID when people have to be so separated. People have fallen in love virtually. I do know you could go to virtual worlds like Second Life and other places like this, and you could dance and hang out. So I do believe that digital love is possible, but we won't know for sure until we complete the experiment in our foundation.
That's amazing. When I was having my second child, I thought about what's the meaning of or the sense of life, and I came to the idea that the special thing about being a human is creating and loving. What do you think that is the special thing about being a human and have this consciousness in this big universe that we don't know?
Wow, it's such a deep question. It's the deepest of all questions. I think the first most important thing is just to appreciate the world around us, to be curious, to have a sense of, wow, the This morning, where I am here in Quebec, Canada, the sky at the dawn was red because the sunrise was so beautiful. And I just sit there and I feel the beauty of the world around us. So to have a curiosity and a sense of amazement in the world around us. The second thing which is so special about being a human is that we can learn a lot of things. When you look out in the whole universe, so far we don't see anything learning. There might be some other civilization, but the moon or the planets, they just go round and round the sun. They don't learn anything new. But us humans, we can learn so many amazing things. The third thing that's special about humans is we can make connections with each other. And complete strangers can become best of friends, can in fact become lovers. So for us to keep making connections, that's what's so sweet about being human. I was just streaming the other night, the last episode of the third season of Discovery Star Trek. And the whole point of this story is about making connections with each other, to connect together. And then fourth and finally, it's this sense of love. Humans have an ability that they want to make other people happy. And it's not unique to human. Dogs also, I know they want to make people happy. Lots of animals want to make people happy. So this ideas of being curious, learning everything that we can, sharing that learning with other people by making connections, and everything we do it from a place of love. This to me is what's special in the universe.
I can't be more with you in your analysis. But while I was hearing you, I think about, is the world a reflex of what you are saying right now? I mean, connection is something that we might be losing right now. When you see what happened, I don't know, in the Capitolio last time, you know, or what happened with love specifically. Are the leaders aware of love like the main force? What do you think about it?
I think they are, but I think that there's nothing in the universe that is perfect. You could have a star explode. That's not perfect if you live on a planet near that star. We can have on a planet an asteroid come and crash into it. It's not perfect. But let me give you a quick example of something I heard just this morning, which I think shows this beautiful connection. The Secretary General of the World Health Organization this morning, he was talking about COVAX. COVAX is a program to share the COVID vaccine with everybody in the world, no matter how rich or how poor. And in this program, there is contributions from so many countries and people around the world. It's not perfect. There are some rich countries that are monopolizing the vaccine. There are other rich countries that don't contribute to the COVAX. Under the Trump administration, there was not any contribution to the COVAX. I'm sure it will be different now. But the point of it is not to focus on these few sad things, but if you go back in history, and there were many plagues and diseases in history, it was never really thought by, like, say, when England ruled the world, if they had a medicine, the first thing we must do is share this medicine with everybody in Africa or India. I mean, they weren't thinking like that, okay? But today, now, in this kind of age of Aquarius, we are thinking like that. We do have a global consciousness. So I have great positivity and optimism that the way forward is more and more love.
It's great. You are the most free person I have ever known. I mean, you don't know limits. You don't know gender limits. You don't know your career limits, your profession limits. You're a lawyer. I mean, that's super amazing. What would you say to all the audience? We have a huge audience hearing you. There's a lot of future scientists, but also people like me, like we are very interested on new thoughts. What would you say about the limits and the freedom for mind in this new era?
I would suggest just two words, and I apologize. I cannot say it well in Spanish, but in English, I would say it's question authority. Everything is impossible until it's done, and then people say, "Oh, I guess it was possible all along." Like many people told me, it's impossible to save Jenny. But then we saved her and thousands of other people. So now it's possible. People told me it was impossible to manufacture an organ. Now they see we are doing it. We have already saved over 100 people's lives. So now they say, oh, I guess it's possible. People said it was impossible to come up with a vaccine for COVID less than 1 year after this horrible disease was discovered. But we did it, not one time, not two times, but there's 5 or 10 different vaccines to prevent the COVID now. People thought it was impossible for somebody like myself, who is born male, to be able to express a different gender. And now, just today in my country, the US, they appointed a transgender woman to be the Secretary of Health, meaning like the Minister for Health. So when people tell you it's impossible, I would just ask everybody to break that word impossible into two separate words. I am possible. It's not impossible, it means I'm possible. And it's just up to each of us to figure out a way to turn that impossible into I'm possible in our own special ways.
That's an amazing advice. We don't want to abuse, but we have a very interested audience, and they are trying to make so many questions. I'm going to select just one to make it for you. And this is the question of Ilya from our Zoom. And she says, how can we invite people to be connected, more connected with love? For generations, we haven't seen the importance of this value, from science to intelligence to reason. How can we invite humanity to be more loving, to be more humans each day, she says?
Yes, it's a really, really great question. I think it's the most important question, actually, that anybody could ask. And I wish every politician and leader would wake up every day asking that question. I struggled with it a lot myself, because by my nature, it's difficult for me to kind of, I will say in English, I don't know how it translates, to preach to other people, meaning to tell other people how to live their life. So instead, for myself, I follow what I read from Mahatma Gandhi, which is to be the change you want to see. So to give you one quick example, one of my biggest passion is to stop the ruining of the world with carbon dioxide and greenhouse gases. So in my company, whenever we make a building or a laboratory, we always make it a zero carbon footprint. It means it creates no pollution. We use solar panels for electricity, and we use a geothermal for heating and cooling. And many people have come to our buildings and they say, oh, now I see it's possible to make a zero carbon footprint building now. I want to be proud of my life that I don't pollute the world. I'm going to do that too. And now more and more people are building these zero carbon footprint buildings. This is what Mahatma Gandhi meant when he said, be the change you want to see. So the only answer I could provide, Ilya, a very wise question, is just to be the love you want to see. And as more and more people see that, we can hope it will spread to connect everybody in the world.
Martine, I want to declare you my profound admiration and love, and to say hi to Bina and all your family. I hope you can enjoy love for the rest of your life. I don't know when will them end, but thank you very much for being with us in future Congress. It's been an honor, and we hope to keep in touch with you.
I hope to see you in person soon. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Yo siento que estuve como con Freddie Mercury, o sea, realmente en este mundo de la ciencia, encontrar a una persona con esa flexibilidad y fluidez para viajar en el pensamiento, en la curiosidad, a través de los distintos campos, es realmente un placer. Pareciera que podemos tener una conciencia mucho más libre, mucho menos específica, no tener que definirnos por ser ni hombres ni mujeres, ni periodistas, ni científicos, sino simplemente ser unos habitantes del mundo que buscan nuevas posibilidades y rompen nuevas barreras, como lo ha hecho Martine Rothblatt. Realmente un aplauso virtual, no sé cómo se hace.